Hey everybody, welcome back to Keep Me Up podcast. How's everybody doing today? Thank you for joining me. Obviously, I'm Shane. I almost said absolutely I'm Shane, but am I absolutely Shane? I mean, an existential crisis? Probably. Anyway, let me lower this mic, even though covering my face will probably get me more views. But I am here against all better judgment, against anything I intended to do, to review the new Disney Plus release, Mulan 2020. So, a little disclaimer before I get started. I was kind of forced to see the original Mulan in '98, senior year of high school, by a bunch of friends. I know Balls was with me, who my best friend who I reviewed Bill and Ted with last week, and it was a movie that was torturous to me. I'm not a Disney fan by any means whatsoever. I mean, some things they've done I'm a fan of, but the musical cartoon stuff is just not my bag, baby. So really, I'm here reviewing the 2020 film through just the lens of someone who has been an aspiring filmmaker and someone who likes seeing good stories on film. So the trailer for this, I thought, was absolutely phenomenal. I truly thought that what Disney was going for was a truly serious adaptation of the 1998 film of the Legend of Mulan, and that they were going for Oscar bait. I really thought this was going to be their epic. This was going to take the live action adaptations of all their films, which for the most part have been absolute disasters by the review of the fans of these films. No one saw Dumbo. Beauty and the Beast, you could take it or leave it. Lion King, while the effects were stunning, were lifeless. They brought too much photorealism to it and not enough just emotion behind the eyes. The renderings did not emote what these characters needed them to do. And so on and so forth. So with Mulan, I thought they were taking that next leap into a epic period piece that was an update of the original, that honored the original. But boy, oh boy, was I mistaken. I'm not going to go into a full beat by beat review. I'm not going to go into great depth like I did with Bill and Ted. To me, honestly, the film was just not worth it. And this is what I'm hearing from numerous friends of mine who were fans of the original or absolutely loved the original. It's a bad film. It is a bad film. So I'm going to tell you exactly what. Oh God, I sound like Trump. It's a bad film. It's bad. Very, very bad. God, make myself barf. Anyway, some of my negative critiques are, and I'll start with the negative, and then there are some positives. The cartoon style of acting. Now, I've asked people, was it a beat by beat retelling of the original? And they're like, absolutely not. But it feels very cartoonish in the beginning. Very quick dialogue, very like, wow, over exaggerated acting. And I don't blame the actors themselves. The cast, those that who I'm aware of their work, Rosalind Chow, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, and other actors who aren't household names per se, at least not to me and my household of one. I know they're good actors, so I put this on the writing, which is bland, uninspired, and just cartoonish, and of course the directing, which probably was at the direction of the studio. It was bad. It was very cartoonish, very little subtlety, if at all. And so the acting and the dialogue was very flat and very amateur. Immature is actually the better word for it, because it felt like it was a cartoon and it felt like it was being written for children. And I'll tell you why I don't think that's wise for these live action adaptations. Overall, the lighting, they had they had lighting that was supposed to set the mood, especially in the Mulan residence, like in her family residence, like purple or blue or red. None of it really making sense. All of it kind of, you could tell, were from lights such as these, obviously higher quality, hidden behind parts of the set. But then still, it was very, very washed, like almost like this. So where you have this accent lighting, but then my face is clearly illuminated. Very little shadow. It kind of just canceled each other out. You're either going to go for mood lighting, you're either going to go for shadow, or you're not. And it felt almost movie of the week-ish in how flat and well lit everything was, even if the background wasn't. I'm not sure I'm doing a good job explaining that. I'm clearly not. But if you watch it and you actually think about it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. The locations, those filmed in China on location, stunning, beautiful. The landscape, I mean, you cannot beat Mother Earth for the ability to take your breath away. There's nothing, obviously, I can't say there's nothing like it on Earth because it is Earth, but you can try to replicate that in a computer, but you often fail. And they did, because at one point, once the not climactic, but right before the climactic first real battle takes place, they switch from beautiful landscapes to Avengers level of bad green screen. You know, I did say, like a dumbass, that Bill and Ted had really great special effects. And they had good special effects for the phone booths and whatnot, but a lot, especially when in the future, that you could tell they're in front of a green screen, and it just, I don't understand how people still can't render that properly, and Mulan fails at it again. So you go from vast vistas of gorgeousness and at times epic shots to then just the same tired old green screen. Terrible. I don't even remember the character's name, but the villain has changed in this. While the male villain is there, really it's a story of two women, Mulan and, I'm calling her Evelyn. I'm calling them Skeletor and Evelyn, the two bad guys. And you'll see why when you see it, if you understand who Evelyn from He-Man and Masters of the Universe are. They added her. She's the main villain now. She's a tragic backstory of how the men have oppressed her, and her chi, which I also refer to as the Force in this. The Force is with her, and men have held her down, and so she has a change of heart, and blah blah blah. Spoiler, and she sacrificed herself so Mulan can come. Well, it's a completely new character. It completely changes everything, and it's a bad, very on the surface character. Not good. It is not a good addition. It doesn't hold any real weight, and I'll get a little bit more into that later with the preachiness. The overall film is rushed. It's almost 2 hours, but it feels like it's over in 2 seconds. The animated film was far better paced than this. When Mulan leaves home and she's trying to get to the army, you go from her leaving, her family sleeping just fine after 2 seconds of wondering about her, and then she's desperate and, oh, will she survive? She has one rotten apple left, and she gives it to the horse. And then the phoenix, which is the stand-in for Mushu. So it isn't dragons, now it's phoenixes. And, exactly my thoughts. Now, it's rushed. It's just rushed. And you don't feel any sense of desperation. You don't feel like her journey has taken any time and a turn for the worse, and she wasn't prepared, because you have to breeze over any adversity that Mulan goes through in this. And that's a big thing, is that she goes through far more adversity in the cartoon, making her far more of a three-dimensional character that we root for, that when she achieves her goals and she becomes the warrior and is accepted as the warrior that she was meant to be, we cheer for her because we've gone through this journey of adversity with her. And that's what you miss in the preachiness of today, where you just need to have a bunch of Rays and Mary Sues that are great from the get-go. And there's a little bitty bit of adversity, but then like all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, you're amazing. Everyone, oh shit, we were wrong. You're great, you're great, you're great. And it's bad and it's rushed. When she was alone in the desert and the Phoenix saves her, guides her, you don't feel anything. What it should have been is like in Gladiator, when Maximus has escaped execution and is trying to get to his family before they're executed. You can tell it's days and weeks, and it's just this endless desperation of pushing yourself to the limits and beyond, and then ultimately you fail. Both survive. Maximus and Mulan survive, but you felt it with Maximus. And you just don't feel it here. It is an overall rushed film. And it's not the only thing. The change is completely different in this film from the original to when she decides to reveal who she is. It happens like that. Rushed. There is no time spent for any character development, for any plot developments, for anything that would tie you emotionally to this film. And that moment when she comes face to face with Evelyn, when she decides to reveal herself for who she is, and she faces very little resistance because very quickly after they're about to reject her, she's like, no, listen to me, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, great. You're the leader of our army officially. There's some horrifically piss poor battle strategy. I'm no military mind, but I can tell when a few people break off of the enemy, and you're like, oh, let's send all these people to follow these 8 or so people. They're going to pass right by the main group of the enemy, so that main group could pick them off with archers, or even just engaging, really, I think, 4 or 5 people, pass within 100 feet of 1,000? Piss poor. That's not outflanking. That's just stupid. Having archers stand in front of your lines. They're archers. They can be behind and protected. It's just dumb. And the editing in this film is choppy. This is one of the... I make a joke, like, who edited this? Scorsese's editor? Because anyone who knows, great as Scorsese is, they say, his editing is choppy and does not line up. There is no continuity. This is far worse. Someone's suddenly over here, and then they're suddenly over there. And time is kind of irrelevant in this because you just jump. It's the continuity is all out of whack. And again, the moment this movie goes from it's not great to this is piss poor is that battle and that first confrontation, really only confrontation between Mulan and Evelyn. It's bad. My biggest gripe. Ain't no one in their right mind gonna believe that Mulan is a boy. Now, my first positive with this is that one of her buddies also looks like he could pass for a woman in disguise. So they did that wisely to make it seem like Mulan is the only sore thumb sticking out. But the voice... fine. So they can't tell physically it's her. Fine. Everyone's a little blind. Great. She avoids showering, but then she's caught. But then they breeze over how she gets out of that. No one ever sees her get dressed and wrap her boobs up. Great. Wonderful. Whatever. She outsmarted them. That's fine. But the voice. The attempt to sound like a boy. It's like Madonna's British accent. It comes and it goes from sentence to sentence to sentence to sentence. 1 minute she's trying to sound deep, and another minute she sounds like herself. And no one notices, and no one cares. And it's just insulting to all ages who watch this. On to the positives. The one scene that carried weight for me was when Mulan's father is preparing his sword for battle. He's prepping the night before he's supposed to leave to join the military, the armed forces. There was actually some good moments in there, and it was mostly felt and not spoken. But that was a good scene. That is unfortunately the exception to the rule of this film of rushed, corny, cartoonish acting and dialogue. Ming-Na Wen, the voice actor for Mulan and Mulan 2, straight to video release, has a cameo at the end. My thing is, Ming-Na Wen is a really good actress. Why not have her play the mother instead of Rosalind Chow? Or if you don't want to age her up like that, have her play Evelyn. Have her play the baddie, who's supposed to be older. She's like Mulan before. Mulan's chi, force is strong, rejected. This woman, force chi, strong, older. She's gone through the rejection. It turned her evil, and then she realized that she could pave the way, break the glass ceiling for Mulan, sacrifice herself to help the patriarchy see that Mulan has a place as a warrior. Gonna get to that. Why not have Ming-Na play her? Ming-Na Wen. Doesn't make sense. I think that would have been a beautiful nod, and it would have spoken volumes, saying this is the original Mulan. She paved the way, and now she's passing that torch. Same as the characters. I mean, it's a choice. It's what it is. It's what it is. And that's pretty much the extent of my compliments, with the exception of Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is trying to sell the shit out of this film. He's trying to put nuance onto bad dialogue. He is the best performance in the film. By far, it's Donnie Yen. It's what it is. Look. This is the narrative of Hollywood now. Men bad, women good. Look, I think that's dumb. Not all men are bad. Not all women are good. Not all men are good. Not all women are bad. We're humans. We are disgusting, flawed creatures. And yes, the patriarchy has held women down for millennia. And I know that women are equal. And I know and love strong female and male characters. I love strong characters of all genders and all ethnicities and all orientations. And I have no problem having a film about destroying the evil patriarchy system of oppression, if done in a way that doesn't hit me over the head with the message. There is something called subtlety that you can put into your writing and do it in a way that does not feel strong-handed or cheap or like you're overly complimenting yourself. What this film feels like is like listening to a Trump press conference where he talks about no one's done more than I have ever done. I am the greatest of all time. Everyone else sucks. You know he's full of shit. You know it's dumb. And you know he's just self-aggrandizing and trying to inflate his own self-importance. And when you tell a story as piss poor as Mulan is, and many others before it, and I'm sure many after it, you lose your audience when you pander and pander and pander. I don't need anyone to tell me how great they are. Show me. And the cartoon Mulan in 98 had far more subtlety than the 2020 Mulan does. It beats you over the head with the message. And I'm all about having a good message. And I'm all about breaking stereotypes. I'm all about progression and equality. But I'm about good filmmaking, good storytelling, and doing it in a way that is believable, emotional, subtle, and impactful. And this film has none of those. I think what Disney's missing the ball with is that these live action films should be made for the generation, at least of the ones obviously that are from the 90s, so to speak, the Beauty and the Beast, the Lion Kings, the Mulans, and so on and so forth, and 2000s. That audience has grown up. They will forever, the originals forever have a place in their heart. When you try to make them choose between which is better, this new adaptation or the originals, you're going to lose in the new adaptation. The original is going to be number one. So don't make them choose. Advance it. What Mulan should have been was not the original. And they didn't go with the musical, and they didn't go with the cartoonish characters of Mushu and the other little thingy. But they didn't go far enough into the other way. They are trying to have their cake and eat it too. They're trying to blend both styles of filmmaking, and it fell flat on its face. Make this an epic gladiator type epic. Mulan, more than any of the others, I think, in my opinion, and I could be wrong, at me if you'd like, it has the most potential to be this grand, sweeping epic of an empire in peril and a warrior, a chosen one, who steps up through adversity, through the patriarchy, to lead their country to victory. And you can do that in a way that has all the basic elements of the original, but advances it for the grown and now grown audience that loves the original. So that they say, I love the original. It is so close, near, and dear to my heart, and it's fun. And I'm going to show my children that, because they're all going to show their children that. But this new one, this is more three-dimensional, and this is me as an adult. This is what I wanted from it as an adult. And kids aren't dumb either. If the kids see this for the first time, they're still going to go back and see the original, and then they can have two entities that they love. You're going to maximize your profits by having two versions that are different enough but stand on their own 2 feet. And while the original stands on its own, this one does not. But please stop with the agenda and the virtue signaling. Mulan 98 does a good job of letting us know what the film is about, with a message of positivity, of hope, and of breaking the establishment, because it needs to be broken. It did it with subtlety, and God help me, it did it with more intelligence in this film. This just beat you over the head with the pulpit. It beat you over the head like a hammer. And so that's why I give, out of 5 possible missing Mushus, I give this film half a missing Mushu. Finally, there's a controversy going on because in the end credits, the film thanks a number of different agencies and government establishments because they shot in China. And the controversy is, how dare you thank an oppressive, horrific regime such as the Chinese government? And yeah, they are a horrific, brutal, disgusting regime. Of the many crimes of the Chinese government throughout the decades, most recently what comes to mind is their, and this does not do it justice, but just in a word, their treatment of the Uyghur community. It's appalling and heartbreaking. And if you don't know about what's going on with the Uyghur community, and please forgive me if I am mispronouncing that. I looked it up before this to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, and I may be misinformed with that, and I do apologize. It's vile. However, not defending the actions of the government, that's what films do. They thank the local and national governments of the countries they shoot in. And there is not a country on this planet that is without oppression and evil, including our own. And we thank the mayor's office and the I Love New York program, or the U.S. government for shooting in D.C. or wherever it might be. We're thanking the government that keeps children in cages, separated from their parents, and with little to no medical attention. If you're going to be upset that this film thanked elements of a regime that treated, of course, it wouldn't be Keeping Me Up without Hannah coming in to make an appearance. If you're going to get upset about one doing that, you need to be upset about, us thanking a government whose best friend in the Middle East is Saudi Arabia, and who inflicts horrors upon peoples, both domestic and abroad. And every other government. I don't mean to single out just 2. Anyway, off my high horse with that. That's my review of Mulan. It's a bad film. especially for the price they charge you in addition to your Disney Plus membership. But if you love the original, it's worth checking it out just so you know for yourself. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, all those things you're not going to do. But if one of you can do it, if you can help me get my numbers up, I'd really appreciate the algorithm response to that. Anyway, love you all. Be good to each other and go to sleep.